in order to understand this video, you really will have needed to see like my other two regarding the Garden of Eden and the McCloud River Falls, which that's what I want to touch on. It does go back to the McCloud clan, and it was once the same spelling as Donald Trump's mother. Yes, it doesn't matter. I said it would be tied to that clan. It's tied to the Scottish clan. But it's also in that same area where, Havala is. It's not like right next to each other, but it's in that same line, okay? That's where the gold rush happened. Donald Trump talked about how there's liquid gold under our feet more than any other nation. He's from, for those that don't know, I just did a video not too long ago. He is royalty, and Donald Trump is royalty in Iceland, Denmark, Norway, Scotland. Yes, in his genes, in his family lineage. So it's no wonder that all the rivers, all the water beds basically in the Mount Shasta area are the McCloud. The river was originally known as the McCloud River after the Hudson Bay Company hunter and trapper Alexander Roderick McCloud, who explored it during the winter 1829 to 1830. By the 1860s, the spelling McCloud was widely used, likely because that was the conventional American spelling of the Scottish name, and perhaps in part to honor California pioneer Rose McCloud, who settled there in 1855. So there's an upper, middle, and lower falls that you can access all of them, but yeah. So let me just point out that in the Garden of Eden, there was water that was gardening, the water that kept the garden up. A river flowed out of Eden to water the garden, and there it divided and became 4 rivers. Okay. Again, you're not going to understand this video if you didn't see my others, like on Havala and how this area, the Garden of Eden goes back to America. So this is the McCloud Upper Falls. This is the McCloud Middle Falls. And this is the McCloud Lower Falls. Okay. I believe by that being so wide, that's the Middle Falls. But so let's look at some more. It's the red dots all the way at the top. I know it's hard to see, but the location of the mouth of the McCloud River in California. It rises from several spring-fed streams in Colby Meadows in the Cascades, approximately 10 miles southeast of Mount Shasta in Siskiyou County. It flows initially west, passing south of Mount Shasta and receiving streams that drain the southern slope of the peak, east of McCloud. It forms a series of waterfalls which tumble over basaltic lava flows known collectively as the McCloud River Falls or Falls of the McCloud River. Interesting, the history behind the extravagant castle along the McCloud River. The only way you can see it is from the McCloud River. Do you see how the water is, it's basically like that castle is in the water? Today, the castle is still privately owned by the Hearst Corporation and is not open to the public. Rafters and kayakers can still get a glimpse of the historic residence from the McCloud River. And the Hearsts are just a bunch of globalists like all the rest of the wealthy. Well, I'm sure there's some wealthy that aren't, but you know, they're few and far between. This was just in January of this year. Hearst acquires 20,000 acres of sustainably managed timberlands in the Siskiyou and Shasta counties, California, from Manulife Investment Management. You know, these people, they're so gluttonous. They're kind of gross. No, they're not kind of. They really are. These people that are just obsessed with their money and their castles, and it's rather disturbing because they've ruined the world. But he was a media mogul. I mean, he's just one of the many that have destroyed the world. William Randolph Hearst, the man who conceived the Hearst Castle, was a media genius whose influence extended to the publishing, politics, Hollywood, the art world, and the everyday American life. No, not the everyday American life, okay, please. His power and vision allowed him to pursue one of the most ambitious architectural endeavors in American history. You can read the rest, the Hearst Castle, and then what I showed you. And what that castle on the McCloud River is called is the Wyntoun Castle. It's Gothic. Like, here's the living room. Yeah. It's definitely a Gothic theme. And as you can see there, the towering Wyntoun structure featured a 76 or 75-foot high central tower built of stone with 6 floors. You can read, I can't see it because of the recording, but you can see what the caption says. So basically, it's the McCloud River that is just all around this. A hidden architectural marvel. You see the river lake? Look at that. That's between, as it says here, between the bridge house and the river house. So like they have their own river. It's the McCloud's River though. Now, that said, it's not like Donald Trump, I'm saying, has anything to do with this. It goes back to his clan though. Like everything seems to tie back to Donald Trump in one way or another. Yet he never mentions any of this. He doesn't go throwing this around ever. He doesn't throw around how he's royalty from Iceland. He's royalty from Denmark. The genealogy people said that. I mean, these are people, I did a video showing the whole line going back to, he goes back to King James the Fourth. He likely, I'm sure, that he's related or has bloodline to King James. Like the King James version of the Bible, King James. Yeah. Because if he goes back to the fourth, I think, what was it, was it the first king? I can't remember which King James it was. Maybe it was after King James the Fourth, though. Maybe it was the King James the Fifth, and then he was the first king to England or something like that. It's because in Scotland, it gets all confusing with Scotland and England. But he goes back to King James. So, yet, he never ever talks about this. Like, you would never know that he was from royalty, right? But you know that they know. That's why they're so afraid of him. He has a lot more power than people realize, I believe. And this is just a map showing, see, the McCloud River, how it's just, and then the Hearst Castle there. So, how does it go back to so much? The McCloud River being there right in the line where the Havala was in California, but yet that's all area that if there was going to be a Garden of Eden, that looks like it. I'm not saying it would be like, obviously the Garden of Eden you have to look at because the flood hadn't happened yet. But still, there's too many coincidences here. If you cannot figure this out, that this is a biblical thing happening, then God help you, because I don't know how many more coincidences God has to give people for you to see that this is much bigger than you think it is. As you can see here, California have a rich history of the industrial forest management dating back to the initial settlement of the town of McCloud in 1897. Donald Trump's clan, his mother's clan, well, him and his mother, the McCloud clan of Scotland, settled that town with the 3 rivers and falls.